Alright, guys. These two are developing a bit of a rivalry, and this was one of their most exciting matches recently. I've had it highly recommended to me. We've got Reynor in the bottom left side of the map, and a player that many would say is a massive underdog, but in the last few months, I'm telling you, as long as he's not playing GSL, he is starting to look like one of the best players in the world again. This is Shopify Rebellion's Byun. Very nervous whenever he's playing GSL and does struggle with that, but he's been getting really good. Now notice what he did there, guys. Really cute little adjustment there. He pulled an extra SCV to build the barracks. Now, Byun has started doing this because there's a lot of short rush distance maps in the new map pool. And the reason he does it is normally if your SCV finishes building the depot, the moment the depot finishes, you can start the barracks. But the SCV still needs to hop off the depot. Sometimes it pops out up here, move around, and then start the barracks. Byun wants to get the barracks started as quickly as possible so that he can instantly start a Reaper, get it across the map, and have more chance of killing a probe or a drone. So this really cool adjustment from Byun there, already getting his barracks up faster. He does this on Moon Dance, Waterfall, any of the really short rush distance maps, and I love to see it. So just tiny little attentions to detail that are making Byun such a powerful player. Of course, Reynor, he's a player who, man, he's you know, had a rough experience in the GSL. He tweeted out that was the disappointment of his career, the most disappointing, you know, experience or performance he's ever had, and he was not very happy with it. He definitely didn't show up and look his A game that day. He was forced to lock in Zerg only, and we can see he's been a little bit rustier maybe in his Zerg versus Zerg play recently, having practiced so much Protoss versus Zerg, but I still look at Reynor as the clear favorite in this matchup simply because Reynor Zerg versus Terran is, it's another level. It's another level entirely. Maybe his endgame is not that good when he's up against Maru, but I still think he probably beats Byun in endgame. Even though Byun's been getting better and better with the ghosts and that sort of stuff. I mean, we cast that Byun versus Dart game many of you would have seen where Byun just, he was winning and he lost patience and he basically A-moved into 20 Broodlords and just walked, and his army was getting stuck on the terrain and the cliffs and all this sort of stuff, and it was one of the worst fights I've ever seen in a high-level Zerg versus Terran in my life. So it was kind of impressive watching the way Byun threw away like 30,000 resources of units for nothing. Byun is going 3 barracks this game though. I mean, dude. Okay, this is getting so common on this map, the old 3 racks, dude. So part of what's so interesting is that you just can stim across with Marines and you have this big ball and you know, I used to think this was not that good a build order, but because the Terrans are skipping the Reaper, taking the risk of just like, nah, just making tons of Marines, and they're also moving out early and trying to snipe Overlords and things. So that's what's so powerful about it, is they can really get some good damage. Now, of course, on a small map like this, it'll be tough, but Raynor, he's probably going to want to get lots of Queens up front to fight the Marines, and then Lings and maybe Banelings to flank them is key. Marines walk across the little ford there. There's a Zergling hiding up the top. Ling speed miles away, but yep, Overlord in the open. That one does go down, and as he realizes what he's up against now, Raynor, I mean, he doesn't know for sure. This still could be a Hellion follow-up. Oh, good scout, good scout. Can he get up the ramp? The Marines of the SCV are going to try and stop it. But I'm pretty sure Raynor saw at least the second barracks there. Indeed, he did. So Raynor's going to have a good idea of what he's up against. Overlord. Oh, another one out in the open. No transfuse available. This would be a big snipe for Byun. Well worth losing a Marine for that. And there we go. Trades a Marine for the Overlord. Raynor's open and getting slowed down. And this is a very crucial point where normally you'd want to build another 5 to 10 workers as Raynor before you start massing fighting units. But instead, guess what's happening? Oh, wait. His Marines just went back in. I guess maybe they got a creep tumor there, but loses a few Marines for it, so not so worth it. My point being, you want to be greedy right now as Raynor, and instead he's getting supply blocked, having to rebuild 2 Overlords. He's only on 36 workers. He's basically even workers. Now, there's a very late 3rd CC for Terrans always when they play this build, but Raynor losing another couple of Zerglings there, and that Marine count's growing. When Stim and Shields is done in 30 seconds, that's a real scary moment in the game. This is not that many Marines, though. Remember, he's lost Marines. He threw a few of those Marines away. If you get up to 20 Marines, it's way scarier than just 12 or 13. So I do think that Byun has missed a little bit of his potential aggressive window there. Baneling Nest is on the way, as is a Lair, but Raynor not able to be super greedy. He sees the Marines coming. Good micro. He pulls his Zergling back a little bit. It's a real beautiful map, but it looks like it might turn into a place of bloody death and destruction in the near future. 16 Marines with Stim and Combat Shields. Good creep out here. I think he's just going to be able to scan to clear the creep, but no, he doesn't have a scan available for a few more seconds. But there we go. He'll have it. 50 energy. Drops that scan, and he should be able to stop that tumor spreading on the right side by killing its progenitor. Very nicely done. The Marines just rotating around. They don't want to get surrounded on creep. Banelings are here. Now, something I've argued for in the past is overbuilding Zerglings. So in this scenario, your queens can attack from the front. You come in from behind, surround the Marines. They've got nowhere to go. You crush that, and then you be really greedy and take a 4th base as the Zerg. Reynor's not doing that. Reynor feels like he's a bit too on the back foot. He's kind of trying to incrementally add a few drones, add a few Zerglings. He's trying to split up his Lings. He's got the Banelings in reserve in case the Marines do dive on the queens. I got a 3rd gas geyser on the way. Still no 4th hatchery for Reynor. I don't like his production position. On the other hand, wait. 5 barracks? Oh my god, Byun is going 5 barracks Marine all in. His first siege tank only starting at 6 minutes. This is a crazy build. He misses the front creep tumor. Bit of a mistake there for Byun. That will cost him. That's very annoying. That means this creep out here is still available and will respread. The Lings here looking for potentially a backstab or a flank. But the wall is raised at home. Baneling speed has started up now for Reynor. That's a really good upgrade. It's going to make it very hard for Marines on creep to do anything. Yeah, Byun realizing his folly. Uh-oh. Here's that surround I was talking about. But is Reynor going to be able to pull it off? I don't know. Oh my god, Byun's focus fire. Oh my god, Byun takes Reynor to Dicktown. Reynor comes in with a surround, but with no Banelings to capitalize. It's an absolute disaster. And you see that Byun there, focus firing off creep, relying on the Banelings. Not something that's very effective against Byun because he has got insane focus. His trigger discipline is fantastic. The queens here on the left side. Going to go over there. We've got 8 queens. Oh no, off creep a little bit. Nice transfuses, but those Marines are on top of him. Uh-oh. Without many Banelings here. Oh man, Baneling speed is still like 8 seconds away, but he's already lost almost all of his units. He's going to try and kill the tank now, but the queens will take a while to do that. And oh my god, Reynor is getting slaughtered. Oh, nice Baneling speed finish. Byun should be picking up. Oh my god, Byun way too lazy with that. I mean, just waiting way too long. He should have picked up there for sure. Still gets a fantastic trade. I mean, looking at the units lost, 43 Marines in a tank sounds like a lot, but look at how much Zerg has gone down. And this is a Reynor whose 3rd's not even fully saturated. 12 workers on minerals, 15 workers on minerals, 16 workers on minerals, and a 4th base that's not finished. And guess what? The tanks are still coming. The libs are still coming. There's an upgrade advantage for the Terran on +1 attack, +1 armor on the way. I like the way Reynor runs at him there. Reynor with an army that wasn't really ready to engage, but he scares him back, and his creep respread on the left side's been fantastic. Ling run by is a very good idea at this point, but Byun's been very on point with raising that wall. He does so many of these 2-base pushes. He knows what to do. Tanks out in the open, and here we go. Reynor's going to get that siege tank. Tank does focus fire on the Banelings, gets a couple of them. And the Marines looking for some pickoffs, but unable to connect. Double drop splits to the left side. I don't think Reynor saw that pickup. They're going to go down into the main base, but Overlord is on the edge. He should see it coming. Reynor's up to 66 workers. Reynor is so good at navigating through these scary situations. He's got Carapace on the way. He does need to get the gas for melee, but only being on 3 gases. He's basically in a budget situation, making Ling Bane a very Zergling-focused army. He does find the gas for the melee. He's making 10 more Banelings, so it's going to be 20 Banelings in total. Reynor's sending some units into the main to defend, as long as... Is it enough? Oh, I mean, it's mostly Banelings. If Byun does some fancy micro, he could set off the Banelings potentially, but good split and defense by Reynor. This low ground base is actually quite undefended. So Reynor's kind of seesawing between the two, but he doesn't have any anti-air, so this can just keep bouncing back and forth. He's trying to build spores down there on the bottom left, but Byun able to dance in, dance out, bam, 4 drones just like that. Easy damage. He's got a beautiful tank liberated position on the right side. These Marines are going to come forward and try and bait Reynor into a bad spot. You can see there, being this deep on creep versus the Speedbanes is very scary. Oh my god, Byun went way too deep, but saves most of the Marines, gets a tank shot off. I think those libs should probably be leaning a little bit further forward. Double drop comes back in. If he can get the queen, that would have been big there, but with the Baneling and the Zerglings quick to respond, Reynor does now close out this edge, unable to keep on picking at him there. Oh, comes in, gets 3-4 drones, pulls back. 3rd base has now landed. Is there a tank on the high ground? There is not. Good quick lift from Byun. He's going to put the tanks up there now, realizing, okay, we've got to try and cover this. So 1 tank behind the mineral line and 1 on the cliff. 2-2 upgrades are on the way. So the 1-1 versus 0-0 upgrade advantage is about to disappear, but he'll get that again a few minutes from now. And it does feel like Byun is kind of just going to let this one drag on in Marine Tank Liberator territory. Whoa! Raynor comes in with a huge surround. Oh my god, okay. What can the Liberators do? He's going to try and drop the Marines on the Queens. Oh my god, big plays, big plays, big plays. The Queens unable to take out all of the Liberators. This is so annoying. Byun's just able to create a situation and a position here that cannot be dislodged. Few Overlords in the open are some juicy targets. Lingbane is coming back to defend this. The Marines are going to keep diving. Ooh, even just that one Baneling in there, very scary. Byun does focus it down eventually, but he loses about 7 Marines. Meanwhile, tank on the low ground goes down, as do a handful of SCVs, but it's not cheap. Reynor is losing Banelings, and Byun immediately redrops, pretends to go to the high ground, but he redrops. A drop also snakes down the far left side, gets in the back of the main. This drop picks up. This drop in the very back does take out a queen. Can it take out another? Only after the medevac goes down, but another 2 queens falling. The anti-air of Reynor is almost completely gone. He is on just 5 queens, which is basically just a complement of injecting queens and not much else. These Marines on that right side also being annoying, picking off a few Banelings, fighting back those queens. Reynor, he's got to try and respread the creep. The fact that he's still got creep in the middle is impressive, but he's lost it on the far left and the far right. Those avenues are still wide open for Byun to take advantage of. The Marines, the tanks coming forward, the 2-2 getting closer and closer, and most importantly, Byun's done a good job of preserving his unit count. So when his 2-2 kicks in, he's going to have about 60 Marines and 5 siege tanks, and that is a very nasty push. Meanwhile, Raynor, Burrow, 2-2 upgrades. He's only on 68 drones. He's still up 13 workers, so it's not bad, and if he can secure a 5th, he's going to be in a very good position, because as we hit 11 minutes, not only is the main half-mined out, but the natural is now half-mined out as well. Byun's income will be dropping, and he's not going to be able to establish a 4th for a very long time. If Reynor gets a 5th, he will start to have a massive economy advantage, but my god, oh, doesn't quite get the base, but does save most of the Marines. A drop in the bottom right, does lose a handful of Marines as well. The army wants to push forwards, but I'm not sure if Byun knows how to do that. He's going to drop a 4th command center. He's like, man, there's too much creep. It's too risky against a Massling Bane player. Pushing out with my tanks is way too dangerous. He catches the burrowed Banelings on the ramp. Reynor on his tiny map, burrowed Banelings are not very effective because there's just not that much room for you to set up those burrow traps, right? Where the hell are you going to burrow them? He's going to scan everywhere because you've got creep everywhere on this tiny map, but Reynor, he was kind of doing it just because he was so far behind. He needed to do something. The Marines here started stepping very nicely. Byun this time does not wait too long. Picks up at the perfect moment. Queen starting to bully those medevacs on the far left side. And that tank on the high ground, still a nice anchor. You can see the way these tanks reach all the way out. And he's even got reserve tanks on the high ground. So if he does get overrun and these front tanks go down, he can still lift, pull back, and he will be able to hold from the high ground. Reynor's trying to get the hive up. He's thinking about going further into this game. 73 workers and that 5th base I was talking about. But I also underestimated how quickly Byun would go for his 4th command center. This could very well go to late game. The longer it goes, though, the more I'm looking at their worker counts and saying, hey, if Reynor can get to 85 workers, it'll be great. If Byun can get to 75 workers, that'll be great. So far, neither player really feeling comfortable getting up to that big, juicy economy. Ooh, Ling run by on the right gets wrecked. Byun with a beautiful giant spready here. Learning from Maru, who's been doing a lot of this, just spreading across giant areas and letting the Zerg make misplayers into you. Really being patient. Reynor's coming around that left side. There's nothing really to defend, but the command center is going to float up and see this, and Byun will be able to respond. Oh, he's coming from the front as well! Oh my god, Ling Bane running in from all sides. The Marines are a bit too clumped. The tanks were very well spread, but the Marines, they were too clumped, and Reynor's going to actually find a massive opportunity. Oh my god, there are still 1 tank on the high ground, but these tanks are going down. A big pack of Marines comes back. Can the Banelings connect with them? Can the Banelings connect with them? Oh! Oh, no, they cannot. But he's in the natural. 24 SCVs do go down in the natural. Reynor goes for the big bust, and he finds the mark in many ways. I think 24 SCVs is enough there. No SCVs in production. Byun is going to try and counter all in. He says, okay, you've damaged my economy. He does start rebuilding SCVs, actually, but he's already thrusting on the counter. The Lings need to backstab. They need to cut off the reinforce, deny the planetary, that sort of stuff. Reynor realizes he might have to give this base up. He's waiting for Banelings. The Queens of the Banes are here. The Liberators and the tanks are there. Nice hot pickup. Does lose a few Marines, though. Not a perfect hot pickup. And the Queen's coming in. They can't deal with the libs, though. Oh, my God. And look at that. There's no anti-air. He's only got 8 Queens right now. They're not able to deal with these libs. This 5th base is absolutely forfeit. On the right side, Marines pulled behind the mineral line. There's not many of them. Byun microing like an absolute god. But his wall is gone right now. Keep that in mind, guys. His wall does not exist. And the planetary fortress was never able to go up, which means a burrowed Zergling is blocking it. Reynor being a creepy little bastard there. He's going to lose this 5th base. He's trying to retake it on the right side. The Lings and the Queens coming down, chasing back these Marines, those Liberators. Are they going to be able to take out these Queens? There's a lot of transfuse available, but that's too many Queens. So the Liberators do unsiege and pull back Reynor long distance mining. Check out the income, guys. We talked about Reynor gaining an income lead. Well, having denied that 4th and all those workers, it's gone from a small income lead to a big income lead, and that is very, very nice for him. Ultra Cavern's going to come in. He's going to retake the base on the left side as well. There's not that many bases on this map, so slowing things down keeping your tanks on the high ground and playing to ghosts is a very good strategy on Waterfall, and yet we're yet to see it happen. The Terrans always go, but it's such a short distance to their base, let's go push them with tanks. And inevitably, it's these big wide open areas in the middle that end up being their undoing. Big Ling run by comes in. The Liberator's only going to get a couple of drones here. The Lings haven't really found too much, though. The Marines are on top of them. He's going to split up and burrow in multiple places, at least baiting a few scans out, so... Nice moves by Reynor there, being as annoying as he possibly can. Looks like 6 drones ended up going down to the Liberator, and also a Queen died when he wasn't transfusing. But 6 drones, the Liberator's fallen. It's still 79 workers to 44. And guess what the problem is? It's the fact that this command center has still not landed. It is 3-3 upgrade advantage, 2-2-2. Kindness plating in the first Ultralisk are in their way, but Reynor is so low on gas, he can't really afford any more than 1 Ultralisk right now. Definitely, I think he needs to drop probably maybe 1 or 2 more gas geysers. This one only has 1 worker on it, which is an issue. This one only has 2 workers on it. And of course, his main's mining out as well. So definitely Reynor needs to take a few more gases right now. Or he's going to be stuck on a very Zergling heavy army and not really able to use Ultras. Ultras are amazing versus a Marine army. There's no Marauders in the mix. Liberators are good versus Ultras, but they're not mobile enough. It's not really something where your Liberators are usually in the right position at the right time. Ling's going for a surround on these Marines, but the Marine drop still being very efficient and useful for Byun. And Byun, remember, like I said, if he just stays compact on these bases, re-walls his natural. I mean, that's one of the most crucial things right now that he's not focusing on because the game is messy. He needs to re-wall his natural because he's going to want to center his defense around this area and then be able to branch down to the right and up to the left to defend as where needed. He's actually trying to march a push forward, which is very ambitious. My God. Oh, my God. Oh, Burrowed Banelings. Well, he scans it and sees the Burrowed Banelings there. That tank will go down. Banelings try to unburrow and get out of there, but they do fall. More tanks coming forward. Man, this is very hard to deal with. A single Viper, if it gets 2 Abducts up, can deal with the Liberators, but I look at this as Reynor, and I'm just thinking, nope, send my whole army to backstab the natural, which is now walled off, by the way. Hats off to Byun for that. There's no way I'd want to fight into this angle. Reynor's going to try and buy time a little bit, but yeah, he's also coming to the same conclusion. He's like, there is no way, dude. I'm not going to fight down that alleyway of death. Oh, he almost stepped on these Banelings. He almost stepped on them. These drones, are they bait? Or I think it's just transferring up here to this rich base. Okay. That is, of course, a 6 mineral single gas geyser rich base. So basically 3/4 of the mineral, half the total gas that can be mined from it, though it will be mined quicker. And 3 more barracks on the way. He's been on 5 barracks this whole time. So Byun wants to start that Marauder or Ghost transition, building a lot more depots, taking some more gases here as well. He's continuing to add Liberators in the mix. 3/3 upgrades finally start for Reynor, realizing this game's going to go for a lot longer. He's going to need those upgrades. He's up to 88 workers as well. So, well, Byun's on 63, but without a 5th command center even started, his 3-base production not finished, this is a massive lead for Reynor. And Reynor's like, well, you denied a base, I take the whole top left. I don't even care, dude. And if these units ever move from there, he could easily retake this. He's going to see if he can sneakily get it up now. 300 minerals, not a big investment. It's only if you lose all the drones that you're really in trouble. Corrupt is going to be big for countering the Liberators, so the Spire does come down as well. Always Broodlord transition is an option as well. Second Parasitic Bomb will deal with that medevac, so Reynor is going to do that and then go suck more energy with these Vipers. And hear their screams. Ugh. Imagine that, getting torn apart by a bloody cloud of bees, man. They're all just clogging up the engines and whatnot. Parasitic Bomb. Literally throwing a bee's nest at your opponent. Tanks and Ghosts are now in production. That's a lot of Zerglings. There's no Marines here. Uh-oh. Oh, he raises the depot. He saves a tank. Okay. Yeah, a little scary to fight into that with the Zerglings. I thought he might just click on the command center and like split the tanks, the Lings up into the different bases. Because when you don't have a big pack of Marines and Ghosts and stuff to actually just gun down the Zerglings, the tanks and the Libs are not very effective against them. Lings are very cheap, expendable units also. But Cloak's coming in. Byun, he could drag this out. He definitely needs more command centers though, and you can see he's adding more. Oh! Reynor gets like, what, 5 Marines there for the 2 Banelings. It's a good trade. Not the big damage that he would have hoped for. This base obviously has to get cancelled. He's going to send a few Lings down here, but realizing, okay, I can't really defend that. Just give it up for now. Oh, he comes and abducts 2 siege tanks. The snipes do answer though and take out both an Ultralisk and a Viper. 2 Vipers and an Ultra for 2 tanks. So ends up being a positive trade for Byun just due to how quickly he responded. Also, check out Byun's sensor towers. His sensor towers reach into the enemy territory. If he could get another one out here on the left side, that would be amazing. Marines come forward. The Ling Bane Ultra Viper looking pretty good. Now for Reynor in this scenario, it's pretty obvious that you're going to need to play Broodlord Infester, so he should start that tech now, which means Greater Spire, Pathogen Glands, because he's banking now. It's either that or he's got to just try and smash this angle and this angle with like Ultraling Bane and use his mobility. Actually, Byun's going to move out and take this base. Not a big fan. I really feel that gives a much more exposed angle, especially this will become an easier attack angle as more of Byun's forces move to the left. So I don't think Byun should move a large portion of his army up here. I think he should only move a few units. I like this sort of idea of have a few tanks and ghosts there. And if Reynor wants to smash Banelings into the planetary and kill it, that's fine. Like, you just kind of accept that. Maybe even make an orbital here. Though planetary is probably the right one. Byun actually doesn't move his Marines in range, which is a little bit of a mistake. So he's going to lose vision of that, not be able to land it, and then he'll have to do it in a little bit. He's also thinking about expanding there. Oh, Raynor's just going to dive! Blinding Cloud's coming in on some of these front tanks. The Ghost pulling back to the right side, guys. Corruptors, Lings, Banes everywhere. The Ghosts on the right side are going to try and dodge against these Banelings. Great spready for Byun. The SCVs mostly get out of there. One or two of the Ghosts go down, but it looks like it is going to be a hold. The Corruptors, though, did some very real damage. 14 SCVs went down. Was that enough damage? Byun is, of course, lower in supply and bank. Remember that Reynor got up to that 90 drone economy for a little while there. He's instantly remaxing on Ultraling Bane. He might want to shift to attacking the right side, but there's still tanks, libs. There's all these buildings that kind of wall things off, making it really hard to get in there as well. He's just going to go for a smash on this angle one more time, attacking here and here. And I really think Byun needs to bring all of his Marines and Ghosts up to this side. He's got most of those Marines still on the right side. I think he's got it just tunnel vision on keeping this alive. And he actually is going for the orbital, so he's going to try and evacuate that base and just run away. Here we go. The Ghosts, actually, one of them gets abducted. A crazy move for Reynor, who's going to isolate all of those workers on that top left base. Here we go. Big Ling Bane move. All of those SCVs just went down. The Ghosts do defend the ramp with the tanks and the libs, but 17 worker kills. That is a very good trade for Reynor. He's happy with that, man. Yeah, he's down 15,000 in the resources lost, but he's remaxed and Byun isn't. And now the next wave is where it gets really scary. Byun realizing, okay, I got to bring my Marines up here. I think he needs to bring more tanks up here as well. And he needs to, like, when this attack comes in, he needs to pull back. He needs to defend this angle and this angle. He doesn't want to have too many SCVs up there. It's mostly just mules, so they are somewhat expendable units. A couple of Lings run to the bottom right. They do get taken out right now. +3 vehicle weapons is almost there. There's 10 siege tanks out. He's trying to just, keep these siege tanks here. I think this is a bit of a better setup for him. We'll see how it goes. Tanks on all sides. The Ghosts stutter stepping back against the Ling Bane. Abducts coming in, taking some of those tanks down. A couple of snipes landing. The Ultra gets popped. Beautiful spready by Byun. And he does lose a few Ghosts, but holds the line splendidly. The natural expansion does lose a few buildings, but +3 vehicle weapons is there. This worker line, very exposed. It's mostly mules, not that many SCVs. Let's see if the Ghosts can punish a little bit. Byun is just so far down in supply, and oh my god, his tanks actually aren't covering this angle. Luckily for him, there's no overseers here, so Reynor's only able to hit the Ghosts that are running out of energy. Does lose a lot of Zerglings, and the trades, they might not look pretty, but they are still good enough that Reynor, until his money mines out, as long as he's mining these bases, then he's okay. On the other hand, Byun has said, I'm going to give up on that base. I'm going to try and take this base down here, and does that make sense? Maybe. I mean, it means this natural angle is still extremely open to busts from Reynor. And I feel like it's just too hard to resupply. On the other hand, he's only down 15 army supply, which makes it look more doable for Byun. How many orbitals does he have? He's got 6 orbitals, so he can drop mules pretty nicely. Reynor still needs to keep bashing. Reynor's got 2,500 minerals a minute, which means this is his last headbutt. If he doesn't make big inroads here, he's going to have struggle remaxing. Maybe not the next time, but definitely the time after that. Abducts coming in, 2 siege tanks taken out immediately. Make that 3. Oh, that's a great start to the push for Reynor. He even lands a fungal on some of the Ghosts. The Lings and the Ultras trying to roll over the top. This is a really good push. Probably Reynor's best push so far. That tank on the right doing massive damage, but there's no more tanks left in the natural. The bio spreading back. The Banelings taking out a large number of them. The Ultra is going to come in, and there's only a handful of Marines left to deal with it. Still an Ultra there as well. More Marines are coming back, trying to defend. But remember, this Ultra now has 3-3. Marines on their own can't really deal with it. And Reynor able to break through a Byun. And Byun was way behind, but we saw that it's a scary map because Reynor's resources were getting very scarce. He was going to run out of money after that wave or the next one. So, well played though. Reynor ends up winning a very hard-fought and close game 1. Well, he's bloody good at escaping hard situations, isn't he? You know, sometimes when Cyril makes a bit of a mistake, it feels like a slippery slope where he gets a bit stiffer and stiffer, and you're like, it's the the stressed out Serral that showed up today, right? It's either that or the just unstoppable god tier untouchable Serral. And don't get me wrong, Serral's made some amazing comebacks in his time as well, but I feel like Raynor's standard state of being is messing up the like kind of things and then just slipping out of bad situations no matter what. That early game looked really rough, losing 2 overlords at the start and then the marine push killing all of his Banes and Zerglings. I was like, dude, you're in the shitter. You're in a real bad spot. But I do think that Byun was slow on his tank production in that game. I think there was 2 key points where Byun made mistakes. Number one, he was slow on his tank production, so his first tank bio push, just if it had just like 1 more tank in it, when it was 1 tank, if it was 2, when it was 2 instead, if it was 3, would have been massive. Now, either way, Byun is opening up Command Center first, so a nice, very greedy build. Usually, at the moment in the meta, we see Command Center first into a 2-base Marine tank push, kind of all-in sort of style. Byun, though, has a variation that he does where he goes for the 3 barracks very early. So it's still like a factory opening, but then he goes 3 barracks, and then he still drops a 3rd Command Center. So he doesn't go the full 5 barracks. He kind of does like it's a heavy pressure build, but he still gets the 3rd up at a decent time. And it's an interesting build because often the Zerg scouts the extra barracks, goes, oh, he's all-inning me. But then they don't see the 3rd Command Center until it lands at the base quite a bit later. And so the Zerg sometimes overcommits to defending. That's definitely something we'll keep our eyes on. For now, it is going to be a 2 barracks follow-up, probably a 3rd barracks to come in a moment as well. And he's got a 2nd gas geyser, so we'll keep our eyes on exactly how Byun wants to play this out. You can go 2-1-1, so you can go straight into the factory and the starport off this as well. I didn't really finish my thought earlier, so what went wrong? Remember there was also that moment where he kind of went into the middle of Waterfall, set up all those tanks in a giant spread, and then he kind of F2'd his whole army back to defend that Ling attack on the top. And it turned out it wasn't just a Ling attack on the top. Reynor was actually attacking from every side, wasn't he? Reynor came in with like the huge swing in, and he cleared up like 4 siege tanks that were all spread around the river, which seems like a good tank positioning, but it's only good if you've got Marines spread around them as well to gun down, you know, the Zerglings and the Banelings and make it really hard for the Ling Bane to get the good fight. Because all of his Marines pulled back, they weren't guarding the tanks and combining their firepower, number one. And number two, they were too clumped up. So when the Ling Bane came in from all sides, they had to pick up into the medevacs to get out of there, which is really bad. Because if you're in the middle of a fight and you're forced to pick up your army or half your army, guess what? Those guys in the medevacs running away to reposition, they might live to fight another day, but they're not defending your workers. They're not defending your tanks. They're not defending everything else. So Byun's got to be really careful. If you want to play the siege tank style, your pushes are so powerful. You can abuse positioning really well. You also have to deal with the fact that your army's immobile and tanks absolutely suck on their own. They need those Marines to help protect them. Just clearing my throat there. Third command center goes down. Okay, guys, so it's a 2-1-1 with a third command center. What a fascinating build order this is. The factory did start at about 310. So what a weird build order. I feel like this build I'd really struggle playing against because I would struggle to read it. I'd be like, what build is this? Oh man, bit of a supply block here on 46. I say that, but actually his SCVs, he's only supply blocked for about 4 seconds. That's pro gamer shit right there, guys. It's where you notice that they're quote unquote supply blocked, but all their production buildings are still building. And then as they finish those units and try to start new ones, the depot finishes and you're like, oh, okay, well, I thought it was a supply block, but it was an almost perfectly planned, just like getting the depots at the perfect moment. Okay, so I think he's going to hit probably about 5 minutes 40, maybe 5:35 with a double medevac drop from this build. And Raynor, he's in a pretty solid setup, but he's actually going a lot of Zerglings. Oh, he thinks he's up against just a normal 2-on-1. Oh, Reynor stopped at a pretty low worker count, guys. He's going for not only 8 queens, but he's massing Zerglings. He hasn't even saturated his third base. Reynor is playing scared. I think he thinks he's up against a 3 racks, actually. Oh my god. And now he's building a spore. Oh my god, his economy is really bad. This is a very rough start for Reynor. Being at even workers, he should have gone up to 50, 52 workers, then started massing workers, massing Zerglings. And now he sees some Marines move out. That kind of scares him. And what's interesting here is actually he's going to have way more than 16 Marines. So he's still good. He's going to push with the medevacs, but he'll be able to pick up maybe 70% of the Marines. Not all of them, but most of them. He's going to move to that north side by the looks of it. Is he clearing out the watchtower or what's he doing here? This is weird. Raynor's going to see that army moving. I guess he's not expecting Reynor to have the watchtowers this early. The Marines kind of moving on a bit of an awkward path here. Third base is floating down. Double engineering bay goes up behind it. He will have the quicker upgrades if he starts those straight away. And he's getting a third and fourth and fifth barracks. So straight up to the big full 2-base production is Byun. Here come the Marines. Lingbane Queen is ready. If Byun could see what we could see economically, he would know there's no pressure on him to do damage right now. Even workers with a Zerg, great position for the Terran. Reynor, realizing this isn't fully committed, does start a fourth base. He's going to need that. Lings come in for a bit of a backstab, clicks down that depot there. Tank on the high ground scares him back though. Just getting a depot, doesn't even kill the SCV. Baneling speed's on the way, a lot more drones. Reynor seems to be sensing that there's no ill intent, that Byun is not serious about this pressure, and that's why I kind of wish Byun was just moving this around a little bit more, maybe dropping in the main. Anything to keep Reynor busy, because Reynor's being very greedy in the face of a big pack of Marines. 1-1 upgrade still way quicker though, of course, for the Terran. No Evo chambers, no Spire, no tech really for Reynor. He's adding more gases now. He's going up to 1, 2, 3, 4 gases. The double Evo will be going down in the natural, though he's done it with a couple of kind of oddly placed workers. This Overlord on the back does see the extra barracks coming in. Oof, Queen does get sniped. Byun's playing a very cautious style. Nothing too crazy just yet. Armory goes down at a really good time, so he wants to start his 2-2. He's like, hey man, macro over micro. I've got him scared a little bit. It's all good. No need to overcommit. Definitely not on Data C. Undata C. Terrible, terrible map puns are my favorite. Here we go. Ling's coming in. Oh my god. Reynor committing like a savage. And Byun maybe a little bit too brave standing his ground there. I think it's an okay trade for Byun though, as long as he doesn't lose that tank. And indeed he does not. Yeah, it's not the... I wouldn't say it's the worst for Reynor because, of course, Zerg's okay with kind of somewhat inefficient trades usually, but it's also definitely not cost efficient. 2 for 1, not really what you're aiming for. And yeah, it's a little better than 2 for 1, but not much. Does... Yeah, if you got the tank, got a few more Marines, it does kind of take the teeth out of the Terran push if you can trade early before all their upgrades are ready, but 1-1 is there, the tanks and the Marines are there. Byun does need to remember to start 2-2. I complimented his armory timing only for him to forget to actually use it to begin his 2-2 upgrades. He does deny this 5th base. Interesting that Reynor took this one, not the one on the right side. So this seems to be Byun's push angle for this game is going to be this side. +2 armor starts, the Byun classic. As you guys know, Byun does always start armor before attack just because that's the order that he presses the 2 buttons. So whenever he's very busy multitasking, he only manages to start 1 if he doesn't have enough money for both. Marines come forward, a lot of the Queens going down. This tank positioning is actually gross, man. You do not want to fight into that. This tank positioning is one of the most brutal tank positions in the game because there's a tiny funnel to get in there. There's a tiny funnel there, a tiny funnel there, a tiny funnel there. Like, you don't want to move through that with melee units. Reynor stumbles into it. Oh no, Reynor, he's walking into it. Not good for him. Byun a bit bravely does go forward, loses a few Marines. But he's got a 4th and a 5th command center finishing. He's going to send a double drop down the south side. This army can just hang out and be annoying. And other than that, he's just got to like basically secure a 4th, macro up. He's got to remember his +2 attack. He's forgotten that. We pointed that out. This is so common. It's the Byun special. The Marines do clear up a bit more creep and push back some of those units. Double drop on the south, and what's great is he can work this angle. Reynor's moving spores down. He should be moving those queens down, and some Ling Bane up here is coming in as well. Get out of there, Byun. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. No, don't unload there. Oh my god, Byun choosing to unload there. A fool's errand. Does lose a full medevac for very little in that regard. But still not realizing that +2 attack did not start. He's going vehicle weapons. He's building 3 Widow Mines at a time, and that's going to be very powerful. One of the biggest things I've seen players making mistakes against Ling Bane recently is trying to play pure Marine tank Ghost Marauder, right? And there's these fights always where you're like, hey, if there was a peppering of Widow Mines in here, or a peppering of Blue Flame Hellbats with +3, because obviously that's the point with +3 where you one-shot Zerglings, which is ridiculous, and this is why Maru's so good at late game. He's the guy who's revolutionized that, and because of that, everyone's copied it. But if it wasn't for Maru, no one would be bothering doing that. We'd be like, well, technically it's good to do that, but who's ever going to think to do that in late game? Maru, that's who. And Byun, we've seen him copy it before. He does start +2 weapons for his bio as well. Ling Bane in the bottom right side. Oh, gonna try and get in here. Oh, the medevacs, did they already use their boost? I don't like this micro from Byun that much, but there we go. Okay. Oh my god, he focused down all the Banelings. He focused down on the base. I don't like that micro. Yeah, I do. I thought those Marines were going to get caught, but Byun, he manages to somehow avoid any of the big Baneling hits. Yes, he loses the abusive tank position, but he's still got the Marines there. The unit's lost tab is better than 2-1 for him. He is dominating Reynor in the fights on this game. Data C is getting turned from a big map where Terran struggles to do anything to the Zerg into a very good map for him. Now, Byun, I don't know why he hung around there so long, loses another medevac, or 2 medevacs even, and one of them was full. He's going to send this drop around the backside. Army is there, but he's only got 1 medevac. Oh my god. Byun's starting to get a bit sloppy. He's adding a lot of marauders and all sorts of things, but oh my god, he's got nowhere to run. Oh my god, Byun with bad positioning. Raynor realizing this was like, hey, wait a second, what the hell? You don't have any medevacs. You're clumped up to all hell. As good as this attack angle is with the Widow Mines, and Raynor is very low on money, it's kind of like, come on, Byun, you know, keep it together, dude. Oh, but look at that, double drop. Drop in the back, double drop up there. This drop will get held. This army does try to get overrun. Reynor defends in the natural and the bottom side, but on the top side, he's going to lose all of his queens. And that's something that is not easily recovered. Oh, great Widow Mine hits the queen and kills a lot of the Zerglings that were running over. Byun even picks up and saves. He can move into that backside. Widow Mines have still not been cleared up on the bottom. Another drop comes in. I don't even know where the heck that came from. I think this one was on the edge of the map from earlier and he just forgot about it. It comes in the backside. And Raynor, just like many Zerg players, not liking it when a sneaky Terran comes in the backside like that. He's losing too much economy. Raynor's got no bank. He's trying to get ultras out. But I feel like Ghost Tech's just around the corner. Yeah, Ghost Academy's already finished, and this army is unrelenting. Marine Marauder Widowmine coming on in there and doing so much damage. Marine Marauder on the top side as well. He's got a lot of units on all sides. 3-3s on the way for the Terran player. Once again, his +3 attack starting almost a minute behind his +3 armor, but despite that common mistake for Byun, that little piece of muscle memory that stabs him in the back a little bit, does get 6 more drones for this drop. And against an already wounded Raynor, that is massive damage. That's massive damage. That's things which Reynor can't really afford right now. He can't handle that right now. 10 more drones coming on in for him, but I actually think I agree with Byun not going ghosts right now. Now, the reason for this, guys, is he's getting a ton of orbitals up, which means he's setting up for the late game really well anyway. He's already got great production, but ghosts are a slower unit to push. And against a guy who's basically just on Massling Bane, even though he's adding ultras now, Marauders, Widowmine's bio will do the job just fine. The important thing is to keep the pressure up. Raynor with some Desperation Burrowed Banelings there. Drop on the north side is going to be microing really well. The Widowmine's making it really hard. He's going to try and click the hatchery as Byun. Oh, Byun not going to get that. He's going to lose all of that bio, I think. The Ultra's struggling to get in range. Finally does go down, but Burrowed Baneling. Sorry, guys. Apologies for those noises. I should commentate with my words, not with my mouth sounds. These Burrowed Banelings could kill a lot, but Byun is just not quite stepping on it. He's not quite stepping on it. Oh, okay, nice move, but 2 tanks on the defense. The Lings get defended. Redrop on the high ground here for Byun. Byun has got the momentum, and he is running away with it. I mean, the problem for Raynor is there's no easy solutions. He's so low on these queens, man. He's so low on the queens, on the anti. He's got no Spire, no Hydras. And because he keeps losing fights and having to give up ground, it's always a scramble. There's never like just do this to counter his move. It's always like, okay, I'm going to go to the pawn shop, sell my knife to get a crowbar. I'll use the crowbar to break open the door, and then I'll go back, sell it at the pawn shop, and do like it's Scrappy. Whereas, you know, he really wants to be able to just pick up a baseball bat and club Byun over the head. He's not able to do it right now. Byun is the one with all the momentum. The Widow Mines are finding big shots because you can't multitask in every area at once. A big drop comes in, snipes the hatch. The Widow Mines get some good hits. Raynor, he's desperately trying to clean up, and only Raynor would be able to survive this long. 520 APM versus the 420 of Byun. Some would say the bigger number is better. I say the 420 is perfect, though. Byun looking fantastic with that. He's keeping it up. Oh, the Burrowed Banelings finally get some Marines there, but the Widow Mines answer with their own absolutely stunning hits on the Zerg as they go down the ramp. Raynor, he wants to get damage, but every time he moves up, there's like a planetary with tanks or Widow Mines, and man, another win in the corner on the top side. Another Widow Mine that never ends up getting cleared up. Raynor is just fighting for his life. Adrenal Glands and 3-3 will catch up soon. Raynor getting those upgrades, like you can see, he's closing out the upgrades. If he could respread creep here, that's great. He's still got some creep in the middle. He's trying to hang on for dear bloody life, but now there's ghosts that are going to siege down this ramp, which means that Ultra, those Banelings could all get popped. If Byun just scans and initiates with the snipes before Raynor sees what's happening, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Oh no. A couple of popped banelings do go down, and look at that. You can't run, you can't hide. Those snipes from those C10 canister rifles go from miles away, man. The banelings are going to roll in. Banelings are not a cost-efficient unit, though. When you're way behind, you need Fungal Ultra, you need Broodlords, you need something that can scale well and drag you back into the game. But banelings being a one-shot unit, Reynor blows his wad of banelings there on the south. He was getting dropped in the top, and he does get overrun. A really nice build order from Byun, where you could tell Reynor thought he was either being 3-raxed or 2-raxed, and he overcommitted to the defense early. Once Byun had momentum, he did not let go. That beautiful tank position in the north was just sexy. All right, guys. Going into game 3, it's another smallish map here for Reynor. Just like Waterfall in map 1. So I'm imagining that last one was his map pick. And instead, Byun picked Waterfall, and the remaining map was inside, and the remaining map up does he was inside out. So this is not as small, I guess, as Waterfall, but it's also got some pretty sick ledges and stuff. Like Waterfall's a little bit more wide open than this map. I do wonder if Reynor maybe thinks about roach play. I know Cyril's been playing a bit of roaches recently, especially if you think your opponents are maybe going to do a Hellbat timing. There's a lot of aggressive Terran plays, big 2-base biotank pushes, Hellbats. If they do any of those, roach openings just rock against it. If they're thinking about playing mech, roaches rock in. So roaches is really good for if the Terran does anything not completely standard, and you can still make it work versus the standard play. The issue, of course, comes about in the fact that roaches do have awkward falling off points. A player who thinks they're just a god of StarCraft doesn't want to risk it on making the less fluid composition. You know, someone like Reynor wants to exert his skill. Roaches is something that someone who's not as good at StarCraft does in order to make the game easier for themselves. Pig. Also, my new spirit animal of Zerg, for anyone out there who's looking to get good at Zerg, check out Ragnarok's games. You guys just look up any Ragnarok game in GSL, and you're just going to watch a guy make Zerg look easy by just shoving roaches and lings into his opponents at like what seems like random timings, but is actually just super well-planned, beautiful aggression. He makes StarCraft look actually simple, whereas a guy like Reynor, you're like, oh yeah, he's doing a triple backflip, and then he's kind of dancing while he's fighting. Whereas Ragnarok's like, hey, look over there, and the person looks away, he kicks them in the nuts, they look back, he throws sand in their eyes, hits them over the head with a metal bar, and that's the game over, you know. Ragnarok doesn't really give his opponents a chance to play the game, and it's because he's nowhere near as mechanically gifted, I would say, or as fluid strategically as someone like Reynor, right? Reynor very rarely goes into a game with a clear plan of a timing attack. I'm giving Ragnarok as an example, but I think Lambo is another example. I think Cyril also, in the last few years, has been more and more planning-based. Because Cyril, he used to be happy to just play late game, and that was it. And he still is to some extent in certain situations, depending on who he's playing against, what the matchup is. But Reynor, I feel like, goes into every game with very little plan. Other than he's like, oh, I got to watch out for him doing this. He might do this thing. Maybe I'll have this little adjustment. But you've got guys who could come in there with like full timing attacks planned exactly down to the second from before the game even starts. Reynor is much more, playing by the... Man, I always get that saying wrong. Was it the hanging on by the friggin' seat of his pants or whatever the hell it is? I've said it like 1,000 times correctly, and then it's always for the 4,000th time where I just randomly forget what the saying is. Anyway, he's free-flowing, he's very interpretive and intuitive, and he will adjust as he goes. This is the exact same opening for Byun. Now, remember last game I criticized Reynor because he stopped at about 43 workers and made a ton of Zerglings, right? And I was like, dude, that kind of puts him behind. This time, though, he gets a full scout very early with Overlord speed. Ooh, you don't want to lose that, though. That's rough. Nicely done by Byun, man. Perfect stutter step on those Marines. I mean, he sees what's up. He sees, okay, this is like a 2 barracks build. So Reynor should go to 50 drones at least before building Zerglings. He does need to get a Zergling out front to see if the Marines push out a bit early. But overall, you can look at this as Reynor and say, hey, he's clearly going to wait for the swap on the add-ons. And that means since they're not finished yet, I've got at least a minute until the medevacs are out, and then another 20 seconds before they get across the map. So Reynor kind of said, hey, look, I can drone. He's got a way better read than last game. The Overlord speed is serving him well. He's up, going even above 50 workers before building units. We always talk about Reynor being a little greedy. He does have to be careful. The Marines are moving out. The medevacs aren't there yet, though, so I think they're going to be pretty cautious. Maybe just look for a free tumor snipe and then back off. I don't think he wants to show himself, but he does. He moves into vision. Reynor going up to 56 workers before building more Zerglings. He's even going to move his queens forward, which he's got to be careful about. Good scan here for Byun. Gets rid of those front tumors. 7 queens are out, 2 more on the way. The lair and the baneling nest, crucial buildings. Because remember, when the Terran's being aggressive, you need baneling speed to handle that. On the other hand, is he really being aggressive? Remember, not particularly. Remember that there is an issue. Third command center's already up. So Reynor this time in a much better economic position than the last match. On the other hand, a smaller map. A map which is a bit harder to defend the Terran pushes. Does it have a position like that tank position that got behind his 4th across those rocks, though? Oh my god, I didn't think Byun was going to commit in here, but there's no banelings! Ooh, he just shoves on in, kills a lot of Zerglings. The queens do some decent damage, but I think this is a great trade for Byun. My god, he's getting like 4 or 5 queens? No way. 5 queens? 6 queens? Oh my god, if he can get number 7, this is like every single one of Reynor's queens going down. He's already lost about 40 Zerglings. There's only 7 Marines left, but Reynor caught with his pants around his ankles being a bit too greedy. Just attacks into the choke point. Reynor there is like, I can take the fight. I mean, there's something about that confidence that is part of Reynor's, specialty, but it looks like he was just slightly off on the judgment this time. He even has to pull drones to fight, and Byun now has got his 3rd landed. Oh, no, he doesn't. Where's that 3rd? Okay, Byun, don't get too excited. You can tell Byun got a little bit excited there. Maybe thinking a little bit with the wrong head, but does now add his 4th and 5th barracks. He's got his 1-1 on the way. He's actually adding a 6th barracks as well, so that tells us that Byun, you can really see the chaos in the build order, because that's not part of his build, guys. You're not meant to go 6 barracks here. You're meant to go 5 barracks, and then you could go straight to 8 barracks. Like, this is just the normal way Terrans think about their builds. Now, it's not that going for the 6 barracks is a terrible move. It's just that it means it changes the way things line up. So he cancels it, builds the armory, so that he can actually do things in a more optimal manner. Because he's like, hey, it's more important to get 2-2, get these reactors, then get the 2nd factory if I want to go to that macro game. So Byun, bit of panic. And that's kind of the funny thing. Sometimes when you start beating someone who you're favored against, and he shoots his own depot there with the siege tank. So I'm telling you, there's a bit of excitement and nerves here for Byun, because he just got massive damage. And he's like, I'm going to beat Reynor. I'm going to beat Reynor. And it's like, Byun is one of the few top pro gamers where you can see that excitement very clearly when he gets in a good position. And it's part of what he uses sometimes to pull off insane micro victories. And sometimes it's where he tunnel visions and kind of moves his whole army into Storm or Disruptors or something like that. Kind of freaks out a little bit. Spire? Okay, Reynor, what the hell? You can't play mutas here. This map's too small, surely. I mean, I'm saying that. Obviously, I'm talking like, is it optimal? No, but it's also going to be surprising. And that's why it could work, especially if Byun goes double factory tank, but he's not planning to, because he's going vehicle armor, which tells us he's going to play Widowmine medevac. So he's actually playing Widowmines, and yeah, he starts Widowmines. He's also planning a double drop, but Byun's army looking a little disorganized right now. Definitely feel like Byun's macro maybe not quite as clean as normal. He's also giving Reynor a lot of time to respread creep and kind of get back in control of the game. Reynor's way down on army supply, but it feels like Byun has let the tempo slide away a little bit. Look at this. He's leaving Marines in the middle accidentally. He's got to keep his eyes focused on the goal, man. Reynor's building spores in that main. Very good idea. I'd like that spore to be right on the edge, but either way, zoning that edge out can help. You can tell that Reynor here, he's got organized control groups. Oh, okay. A lot of the Marines take a baneling hit, but they don't die, so not too bad. All right, we've got Marines there. Random Widowmine's going to go out to that left and I guess try and burrow to stop any run-bys of banelings. I do like that sort of move. Marines dive in over the spore crawlers. He sees the spire, which is actually very important. He starts up a Thor, more Widowmines immediately. He does have his 6th, 7th, 8th barracks there now coming up with the tech lab so we can build ghosts and obviously Marauders first and then ghosts. He's going to take that 4th base. Reynor's up to 90 workers. It's a very good economy. And this is where Reynor's just like, you're like, okay, well, the problem is it's going to be 2-2 maxed out Biomine Thor Terran. And that army beats the crap out of Lingbane Muta. What does Reynor have, though? 436 APM, some of the best tactics, best mechanics in the game. And he also has the understanding to know that he should not fight into Byun's army head on. When Byun's going to push out and try to fight with 2-2 right now. And Byun really should be moving out already to try and set up for that. But Reynor's going to go around. He's going to open the rocks up. He's going to try and create backstabs, base trade type scenarios, any way to create a lot of movement and not fight. Because if he headbutts into Marauder Mine Thor, it's going to be very scary. Now, on the downside for Byun is not really moving out. And maybe he's just saying, that's fine, I'll play mega late game. But if that is the case, I want to see 3-3 start straight away. I want to see extra command centers for orbitals. We really want to see if Byun's going to play that real slow game, he needs to give up any plan of being aggressive for the next 10 minutes and basically just build command centers, start building the ghost count, set up layers of walls, planetaries, depots, sensor towers, turrets, widow mines, tanks, Thors. You know, he basically just needs to make himself impervious, and that means also splitting his bio up in different areas. You can see he's got some units on the left, some on the right. Oh, he's going to lose a tank there. Good snipe by Reynor, gets a widow mine as well. Oh, does take a widow mine hit. And the Marines running forward. Bit of a crazy push for Byun. He's just trying to, I guess, get the widow mines forwards as a bit of threat. See if he can deny the creep spread a little bit. But Byun needs to be focused on more command centers right now. He's got his 3-3 started, way ahead on that. The Hive's only now started. I thought Byun would really try to exert the maxed out army advantage that he had. He's choosing not to do that. And that tells us that he's really just going to say, hey, it's a small map. If I mine my half of the map and you mine your half, I'm way more efficient. Terran always wins that scenario if the game goes long enough. But that's a win condition 15 minutes from now. That's not a win condition right now. And playing that long is always scary. Remember, he had that amazing start with all the marine damage. Didn't do too much with it. On the other hand, the fact that Byun's capable of playing a defensive late game is what's so incredible. Reynor's looked lost when he played against Maru doing that on multiple occasions. Byun is not Maru though, and I really haven't seen anyone make Reynor look lost in late game except for Maru. Maru's the one guy who's just good enough with that defensive positioning that he can absorb everything. Man, these mutas, they deny a bunch of SCVs building command centers. They get a tank or two. The Thors are trying to chase after the mutas. Only gets like one shot off, doesn't really achieve anything. Reynor's got 22 mutas. He's building a 23rd, even +2 air weapons. So Reynor's like, hey, and there is a lot of turrets everywhere. And we should be seeing building armor and high-sec auto-tracking after 3-3s done on those two engineering bays. If you're playing this sort of game, building armor is actually a massive upgrade because it's going to go really long. Ling Bane trying to come in. Lots of bio there. Depots aren't raised right now. You got to be really careful to not F2 as Byun. But you could see Byun did F2 there. Ah, he stimmed his whole army. So that's a really bad habit, which you won't see Maru do. Maru will manually jump there, box the units, stim them, micro them. Whereas Byun will F2 and A-move his whole army on the minimap. It's a panic maneuver. Sometimes it's the correct maneuver when you really need everything to get there right then and there. But notice how, like, Reynor, if he does that too much, he then has to painstakingly respread his army and get it back out there. All right, the bio should be able to defend this just fine. Oh, but the SCVs are going to lose a few of them at the very least. Nice moves. The mutas are also rotating around the left to try and get in there. This is a pretty low commitment for Reynor. It's a pack of Ling Bane. It's not an army of Ling Bane. Mutas are going to go into the main. Remember, there's lots of turrets in that main base, but it's a ton of Mutalisks, so they definitely can still focus them, especially if there's no repairing going on. Ooh, you sure you want to take this fight, Reynor? He gets one missile turret and another one. He's already lost about 3 or 4 mutas, but most of the turrets are gone, so it's not too bad. The Thor bio shoving down the right side. This is not the game Byun wants. Byun does not want to be shoving in. Remember, guys, I told you, Byun's game plan is to win 15 minutes from now. Kill this base and then pull back is the right call. If he keeps shoving forwards like this, he's playing into Reynor's game plan. Ghost Turtle is not advantaged at this stage. Reynor's got more bank right now. He'll rebuild faster. But Byun, he's getting baited into playing Reynor's game. He's got to pull back, and it seems like he is now. I don't think these trades were too awful. He got a base. He only lost, what, 13 SCVs? But he's just got to be careful to not let this escalate because, look, now Reynor's going to run down the right side and Byun's F2'd his whole army to the left. Ah, that's exactly what Reynor wanted because now he can pounce on that bottom right and once again delay that base. And look at the way Byun's whole army is moving on the map. It's all moving left. It's all moving right. And this is exactly what Reynor wanted. He wanted Byun to get a little lazy with his unit control techniques, and that's what's causing him problems because now the Ling Bane not only denying the 5th, it's going to get the 4th as well. Oh my gosh, he gets the planetary and another bunch of SCVs. The mutas are still in the main. And this is exactly what Reynor wanted to do. He wanted to catch Byun off guard and say, hey man, I know you're not as disciplined as Maru at this, you know, this move. These moves that Maru blocks every time, they work on pretty much every other Terran player in the world. Oh no, he gets a Thor! The Thor inside the medevac. In this one, that medevac cannot go in to pick that up. Oh no, he loses both Thors. The Lings go back in on the right side. Picked apart here. And the mutas go back in. They go on the missile turret. Byun had such a promising start in this game. But man, Reynor always knows what to do, and I think he had a very deep understanding of his opponent's weak spots in this one. Remember what I said, you do not want to get your whole army moving, and you also don't want to counterattack. You just want to calmly pick up a Thor, send it back into the main to defend the mutas, maybe send a drop to punish him or something, but you don't want to grab your whole army and escalate. That's a mid-game thinking process that Byun got stuck in. If you're playing tempo, I'm going to finish you on 4 bases with just bio mine parade push, go for it. But he was not going for that. Remember, he did not capitalize on his early lead. He was using his early lead to get mass orbitals up. That's something that takes 10, 15 minutes to pay dividends. He was not at that point yet, and he definitely got a little bit carried away with how he was using that army. There's a lot of Widow Mines in the back. The Marauders were a little bit far forward. Watch out for those Widow Mines. Somehow, the Widow Mines don't kill every single Zergling. I'm amazed at it. The Marine's doing a good job. Oh my god. Reynor's just got so much stuff, though. So many Banelings in the back line. The Marines have literally not taken a single hit. It's only been stim packs and they're already below half-life. Finally does defend this. Should be able to get that Ultralisk as well. One more hit will take it out. Oh, the stim runs out. Ultra gets out of there. He says, see, you don't want to be, you dickhead. And should be able to go get transfused. But wait, no, there's only 3 queens alive. This game's been a bit of a shit show for Reynor. But you know what's good about only having 3 or 4 queens? It does give you extra supply. A lot of players are sitting there maxed out with 15 queens. And it's like, dude, you know that's 30 supply that can't really attack off creep, and it lowers your overall supply count. So definitely something where, even though obviously Reynor's below the optimal queen count, it's got an advantage to it. Widowmine gets 14 worker kills. Lings are going to split off into that left side and just go after some of those SCVs. Maybe pick off a turret, try and do some burrows after that. Could be a good way of doing it. Army moves down the right at the same time. Tank on the high ground, left out on his own. And look at that, the burrowed Zerglings being the dickheads that they are. This burrowed Zergling also, he's got the middle finger up above his head saying, you can't land here. And they're like, they're scared to say that there's an unstable foundation. They're like, buddy, I think we can probably just land on like literally the little bit of jelly down there. Like, come on, man, it's not gonna, this is a gigantic steel and concrete structure. I'm sure it doesn't matter if there's he's like, no, it could be like a rock or something. We can't have an unstable foundation. Whoever drives those command centers, an absolute sissy. Marine Marauder trying to get over there. SCV is pulling away, but man, it's, look at that. He even finds that Reynor's mining from his corner, and Reynor, after years of me ranting about it, has finally done it. Can you believe it, guys? He's finally actually taken an offensive base and transferred workers down there. Reynor out there, I bet you he's been triggered hearing me cast his games, because I know he watches some of them, and hearing me complain about this from every pro for the last few years. And finally, Reynor is the first top pro gamer that actually moves drones to a forward base to steal his opponent's minerals. There's no reason not to do it. And there's no reason not to, but Reynor, out there, you made me very proud today, buddy. Yes, you did it in a game where you're so far ahead, but still, I'm very impressed. Now, Byun has actually got an impressive army supply. So the way he wins this game is getting one sick defensive fight here, and then just counter shoving. Don't rebuild any SCVs. There's no reason to as Byun. Just use the supply to get a supercharged, maybe 150, 160 supply army. And if Reynor gets a bit over aggressive, takes a bad fight, bam, that's when you're going to F2 across the map and do some counter damage. Byun's trying to use this drop as a distraction. Wasn't really expecting much of it, so he's not actually paying attention. Of course, he's very busy defending at home. He just gets a drone, picks up those Marines, and does get out of there for now. We've got Widow Mines still on this right side that have been defending a lot of the Banelings. Units lost tab is 32,000 units lost, or 31,000, sorry, for Reynor versus 22,000 for Byun. Cost efficient for Byun, but not amazing for this matchup. Does deny this base one more time. Reynor's just going to send these workers back to this base. He's still got plenty of minerals to mine on the other bases on his side of the map, but does want to start mining that out. Here we go. Ghosts coming on forward as well with these Widow Mines. Where's the Overseer? He's making an Overseer that he's added to this control group, has Reynor. You can see here, he's just added the Overseer, so he's going to wait for that to finish, then he'll go down and try and clear those up. He's going to try and mine out this bottom right corner as well, and I'd love to see Reynor do the exact same move. Just grab the workers, go down there, start mining the minerals. The gas is good, but it's not as important, I would say, as the minerals, just because minerals tends to be the starvation factor in this matchup in general. If you go Broodlord Infestor, you do start running out of gas. Sometimes, if the Terran's playing mech, gas is way more important. Ultra Baneling says goodbye, mate. Oh, I really think he could have killed that. I think he could have rolled the Banes to the left, maybe even dropped a Blinding Powder too. Got some Banes on the SCVs. Reynor maybe being a little afraid right now. Byun's actually got a supercharged army. I've been casting this like Byun is dead, guys. Oh no, I've just done I'm casting from, I think, the way that the game should be rather than keeping up with what it is. Oh no, bad commentary. Okay, I'll shut up. Yeah, I'll stop with the meta commentary. But seriously, Byun has a very scary army. Now, you got to remember, how much lava do we have? He hasn't really been injecting, Raynor. So he's got no lava in the bank. He can't remax on Lings. 3,000 minerals is still a lot of ultras though. A lot of Ling Bane. But ultras aren't the smoothest army. If he had an infestor or two, that would really open things up. If these rocks were open, that would be good. I would really like to see him smash through with some units here, a lot there, and kill this base. On the other hand, this base on the far left is the most important base because the other ones are going to run out of minerals. This base on the far left, very exposed. Snipes do take out an ultra and almost a second one from the high ground, but he's very clumped in the blinding cloud. Oh, that Widow Mine was actually sick. It was a 20-kill Widow Mine, but there's more Ling Bane behind it. He needs more damage. He's very clumped. The command center has to lift. The SCV's going down. Reynor rolling in. The Banelings go into a concave of death. Great micro backwards from Byun, but I think a good enough trade, most likely for Reynor. Reynor did indeed transfer the workers down here again, which is awesome. But Byun gets in there and denies that base. This command center does get forced to lift. There are still ghosts there, but they weren't able to get the snipes on the return. These guys try to burrow their heads in the sand. Unfortunately, Byun not working with the great bug splatter beast army here. These Terran units, even if you can't see them, they actually, no, they still can see you. They don't get tricked by that one. No wrapping a towel around your head against the Marine Marauder Ghost combo. Byun still in this game somehow. He's got Reynor's economy down in the dumps. I think Reynor's kind of shocked right now going, God damn it, why won't you die, dude? I do think Nidus Worms probably would have been game winning at this point just because Byun is stretched so thin. But Reynor's back in the army lead. The problem is that Reynor doesn't have that much bank or income right now. It's still more than Byun's. But because, remember, the resources will mine out, it turns more and more into a situation where it's like Reynor's desperate to get some of this mining off of Byun on these corners. Oh, watch out for the Widow Mines, but good spready at the last second, only loses 3 Banelings there. The Ultra Bane comes from behind and gets massive hits. Oh my god, I'm sorry guys, I didn't realize that there was a flank coming from the right. They just got massive damage. That's game ending. That's game ending. I will rewind to show you guys that fight one more time. Oh, beautiful engage by Reynor. He's retaking the corner base as well. What have we got? A couple minerals, relanded command center, but down to 75 army supply. Reynor's still got the income lead significantly, and he's going to be able to remax out and finish this game off. You know, he even uses Banelings to break the rocks. Accidentally does Reynor. He probably thought the Banelings were stuck behind the Ling Bane, the Ultra Ling. But I'm a little sad for Byun in this game because I think Reynor messed up really bad versus the 3-Rax push, and I think Byun could have tried to just play that tempo game similar to on Data C, using that early momentum and just pushing and multi-pronging and dropping his opponent to death. He did try to play the late game, and he was doing pretty well, but I mean, it's so funny. You see a guy with 7 missile turrets in his main, and I think what happened is there was like a psychological damage that went on, where when those mutas flew in the main, Byun was like, hey, I have 7 missile turrets there. It's fine. And he just kind of didn't believe that Reynor would attack into it. I think there was something where he was so shocked when Reynor just busted through all the missile turrets that the mutas just made him panic. And Byun started to make some bad decisions as a result of that. So this is something which happens sometimes. You know, you're playing a game, you're playing a pretty solid game, but then your opponent does something so shocking that you've discounted as, well, that would be a bad move, or that's not a good move, so it's not even an option. And that's what you're always doing in StarCraft. You're always saying, well, you could do A or B. Those are both good moves. C, D, E, F. I'm not even thinking about them. They're shit moves. They're all terrible. They're not good moves. This Burrowed Baneling's been here for 20 minutes, by the way. That's been there. I'm exaggerating. About 10 minutes. I like the Burrowed Infestor for Reynor, though. Oh, barely doesn't get scanned. Those guys do, though. And he does get rid of one of them, and the other one gets popped as well. But here we go! Oh my god! The Burrow Fungal is huge. A Widow Mine, though, and another one do get big hits, man. These Widow Mines are getting absolutely monstrous hits, but there is just too much Reynor on the dance floor. Oh, a couple of ghosts go down. Marines, Marauders struggling to get back. EMPing the Vipers, trying to get up the ramp. But the Acid Boys say, 40 virgin Zerglings are waiting for me in heaven. Let's go. Anyways, the Ultra Ling goes to the bottom right. The Lings go there. The Banelings, I like that they burrow just to force a scan since they knew they weren't going to hit anything. That Baneling there as well. We've got the hatcheries all over the shop. I mean, there's still income for Reynor. It's not a lot. He's got a few thousand minerals there, half a mineral patch there, a couple mineral patches that are maybe 2,000 minerals stacked up on that base. And the Marine Marauder Ghost pulling back. You know, it's always funny because there's always these pieces of terrible inefficiency with ZvT, but you have to do that with a melee army. It's kind of like charging into the artillery and the crossbows or the archers or the spears of your opponent. You know, if we're thinking of like real war analogies, it's like, okay, you charge and it's really, really costly, right? But once you break through the front line, once that, you know, that little salient turns into a big bulge, and then that bulge breaks and you spill into their back lines and you start getting into their supply lines and causing chaos, and the opponent's organization falls apart. That's where Zerg gets massive value. It's the moment where even just 5 or 10 Zerglings, a meaningless number of units, finds themselves into an undefended mineral line, and they tear it apart and kill 30, 40 SCVs in seconds. Those are the moments where Zerg, the initial brunt of the push, is terribly inefficient, but the moment they get in the back line, my god, do they find sick efficiency versus Terran and make up for all of those disastrous-looking charges, at least at face value. Nice parasitic bombs here. The Medevac's doing some desperate spreadies. That full one does go down just before the parasitic bomb runs out. And Byun is going to be forced to tap here. Beautiful play by Reynor. Gets the 2-1 victory. Alright guys, I want to really quickly go back and look at that fight where that Ultra Baneling flanked. I don't know, it was like 22 minutes or something like that. I think it was like 22, 23. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Oh! And actually a little bit of miss micro from Byun there as well. So check this out. So he's attacking from both sides, and it looks like these Banelings aren't really connecting with much, right? There's a nice little concave. But then at this point, because that army's coming from the left, and Byun's like, oh shit, I don't want to get trapped in this corner. He wants to get his bio from here, so he can start stutter stepping away without getting trapped. Because here, he's got nowhere to run, and he doesn't want to pick his whole army up, because that means just ceding this whole territory to his opponent, right? So he kind of stutter steps into the Banelings, and watch this. His whole army's about to move forward. He thinks it's all dead, basically. There's still like 4 Banelings there. And they actually got a lot of damage. That was actually and the Ultra Baneling gets on him, and the Blinding Cloud means his units bug out and move into the Ultras, trying to get out of the Blinding Cloud. That was a very good flank for Raynor, and we see what happens the moment that bio has nowhere to turn to, nowhere to run. Bloody well played.